Hello? I can't hear a damn thing.
There.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey!
Okay. You guys can hear me. All right. Excellent. I'm hearing my voice talking from somewhere else. I don't know why.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you.
Everyone.
Slowly getting this thing together.
I don't see Chris. Where's Chris?
There he is. He's down below.
Chris is there. All right. A bunch of people are telling me that they're waiting for a picture. They can hear me, but they can't see me. Is there any way somebody can monitor what we're actually broadcasting? That'd be great.
I can.
Yeah. Oh, wow. A lefty.
Hello? Just meet my friend, the frog. He's the one who actually plays everything on the album. Yeah. He writes the material, he shows me how to do it, and then I go out and I just kind of do what he does.
Okay, so apparently I am told that we're on live.
Yes!
Woohoo!
There we go. All right, and
Hey, Mick, I guess we're on. Mick, you there? Okay, Mick just said he can see all of us, Joe.
right, can he hear all of us? That's the
Can
thing.
you hear all of us?
Hi, Mick.
Yep, Mick says you can see us and hear all of us.
That's
All
great.
right, we're gonna. Then you see me talking to you, right? Okay. All right. Bye.
So, okay, so the live stream is delayed by how much? Is that a 7-second delay? So you don't get charged by the FCC for playing wrong notes? That over with right away. Who doesn't like it? Hey, it's Shapeshifting. Are we live, John, or what? Am I talking to people?
Your internet. I hate when I get that sign says your internet connection is unstable.
Ah.
Yeah. So am I.
It usually says you are unstable.
I know. I take it personal. I
Fine.
immediately take it personal. I'm like, what? I am not.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to start talking. This is sort of like, you know, it's the end of the world. You're the Omega Man. You get on your ham radio at, you know, once a night, and you just start talking to people. And just, you know, I'm not going to do a Charlton Heston impersonation.
Maybe you should.
But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be talking about how cool it is. First of all, like we did this test yesterday, and I finally got to see you guys. I haven't seen your faces all together since we were making Shapeshifting months ago. And it's just so cool to see everybody. How is everybody?
Doing
Great.
great. Considering
Beautiful.
You have to change one bit, Joe.
Oh man, it is really cool. I was thinking, you know, when I finish a record, I put it away after all the technical stuff is done, and I'm thinking, okay, give it a week, maybe 2 weeks before you can listen to it like a normal human being. And once I started getting back into it, of course, it becomes more of an emotional experience, and all the technical things, the knobs you twisted, the guitars you use and stuff like that kind of fade away, and you forget, and you just kind of listen to it almost like it was somebody else's record. Except I've got all these fantastic memories of hanging out with you guys and creating it and making all those decisions right there at Pliers. And it just, every time I listen to the record, it's just, it becomes a more thrilling experience just to go through those memories of making it with you guys, because you guys showed up and you delivered so much. And so I'm going to say to you all right now, thank you. Yes, I'm giving you all applause.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us, and thanks for bringing that beautiful crowd of people, and you know, Mike and everybody, and just getting everybody, all the cool people involved. It was a highlight for sure. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You know, people probably don't think, you know, they're talking about the interviews that I've done, and they ask, well, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? They get very specific about the making of a record or recording a song. But of course, we hang out together for hours and hours every day. There's obviously we're working, but at the same time, there's a lot, you know, there's walking outside, there's having a cocktail and watching the sunset, which is, you know, a Jim Scott specialty right there. There's the Pliers diet, which kept us very healthy and feeling great every day. Again, thank you, Jim Scott. And walking around the room and playing the instruments and asking questions like, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? You know, I know the fans out there have seen a lot of the footage that my son Zizi shot, candid stuff while we were recording in the studio. And I'm sure they're like going like, oh my God, where is this place? Like, who put this together? Because it is like a musical funhouse, right? I mean, it's so inspiring. And you never expect it when you walk in the front door of Pliers that you're going to see that.
Well, you know, it's supposed to be fun, you know, doing what we do, making music, and, you know, it's supposed to be fun. Otherwise, it's work.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough I haven't really had to do that for a long, long time. I just get to go over there and do exactly what you said. Just walk in the back door and you're in a new place. You're in a new spot.
Yes. Yeah. You're in a zone, a creative zone. Yeah. I'm going to have to go back. We were planning a record release party at Pliers. We talked about that a lot. And
Yeah.
I kept thinking that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Of course, it just didn't happen. And but I'm thinking it's going to happen next year.
Wow.
I'll
Okay.
just put it off. This record's going to have the longest life. It's amazing because of the situation that we're in, but it's a great opportunity to dig deeper into the music, and it will, I think it will ensure this fantastic relationship that we've got started, that all started at Pliers. And so, I'm feeling good about it. And I'm feeling good today that we're here finally talking to fans. This is great. It's not like being at the show or doing a VIP meet and greet or anything like that, but it's about as good as it's going to get for the next few weeks or months or something like that, you know. So we're here. We're talking about Shapeshifting, my new album. And, you know, for a while there, I was thinking it was going to be called Spirits, Ghosts, and Outlaws. The fine panel of musicians here today on this Facebook Live will remember the big board and in the room and all of the song titles and how I was moving things around, and the coffee table off on the back of the control room there with the little 4x3 cards that I told everyone, move them around, flip them over if you don't like a song, stuff like that. But I guess halfway through, it became Shapeshifting. It had to become Shapeshifting. And then, of course, I realized it was never going to be anything else but Shapeshifting. And that was the theme that I brought to everyone was, I'm going to make these songs change me and my playing. I'm going to do the Shapeshifting. And this is an opportunity for everybody involved in the project to come in, bring their talent, and say, you know, what could we do for this song that's different? Let me show you all these things I can do to make these songs come to life in a different way. And made the project so much fun for me. It really pushed my boundaries quite a bit. And but right now I'm on my screen, I'm looking at you, Jim, and I wanted to say, first of all, I apologize for having to play so many solos every once in a while and try so many guitars. But
well, no apology necessary. First of all, you didn't play a lot of solos. That just didn't really happen. And I learned more about guitar amplification and distortion and how to get a tone working with you for that short amount of time that I have in my entire career, working with every guitar player that I ever worked with. It was so much fun, and I learned so much, and I just can't wait to work with you again, or to actually go to work again with anybody. It's a whole new thing that I learned about guitar tone and distortion and clarity, and just not settling for that's really good. Let's try another amp and get it great. I mean, it doesn't take very long, and not like we spent hours, but if you want to just try one more time, that's your spirit. And we do. We try it one more time to get it exactly the way we want, and then we're done, and we never have to think about it again. We're done. It's good. So yeah. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, well, that was my pleasure. I'm staring at this box here. I remember the Reamp box, right? So yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I've had a lot of experience with it. Of course, John Kunenberry invented this thing way back in the 90s, and we used it all the time. But I brought it saying, oh, you know, I've got some stuff and we'll just reamp it. And that was kind of new, you know, for you to spend so much time working with that. But it turned out to be a really great way to be able to revisit some magic that had happened, you know, earlier in the project at my home studio, or even previously in recording during the live sessions, to try to reimagine the sound. It's such a great tool. But I'm thinking like I got this movie, Jim, when you took you were reamping my solo from When Trees Walk the Earth, right? I wound up as a bonus track, that song. And thank you for those fans who pre-ordered, because you got to hear that crazy song. And you put it out into some old PA system that you had in the rec room. So explain to us, what was that exactly?
Well, there was a guitar solo recorded, and we kind of liked it, but the sound needed to somehow be more and bigger and fit in more with the process that we were in. So, you know, the warehouse at the recording studio is a really big room. It's 50 feet by 50 feet with 30-foot ceilings. And I have a really old, like kind of old 70s studio set of speakers out there, these Klipsch La Scalas. There's 4 of them. They're all over the room, and we decided that we would, you know, go get an amplifier and plug it straight into those speakers, and plug your guitar sound into that amplifier and blast it through those old, like, hi-fi studio speakers. And so we got the oldest microphone that I have, a ribbon microphone, and put it about 5 feet away from this giant speaker. And when it came on, if it's the same movie that I'm thinking about, when it first came on, it was so loud, it just, like, blew everybody's hair back. And you know, it's just one of those kind of things that, you know, all the other studios that I've ever worked in, if you wanted to do something like that, it would take 3 hours to set it up, and you'd have to go rent something. But with just the amount of stuff that has shown up into the studio, it's one of those kind of things. It's like, well, let's try that. That's not hard. It's just a wire. Let's plug it in. It's easy. So yeah, that was quite a day. It was loud.
It was loud, beautifully loud. Yeah. Well, we'll get that together. I'll share that with the fans. They should hear that. That's, you know, it's funny because that one, now Kenny will remember this. That one, I sort of sprung it on him at the last minute. Like, you know, what if during this crazy freak out section, like I'm doing all kinds of, like, you know, stuff like that, and I go, Kenny, how about a drum solo? It's only be a couple of minutes long. And I can imagine that. I mean, I can imagine what he was thinking, like, well, there's like no music, there's just like this crazy noise, and there's that weird chord that's just been playing for the last 3 minutes. So, Kenny, tell us what was going through your mind when you had that.
Well, first of all, that song was cool as shit. It was like, was it called When the Trees Roam the Earth or something? I mean,
yes, yeah. When trees walk the earth.
So for people who don't know the song, you feel like you're literally on another planet, like it's the end of the world. Like it's just like literally trees are just. and it's a very, very, very slow song. It's just, I mean, you would never have a drum solo on that song. I mean, it's just like, take it, and it's like, ba, goosh, ba, boo, goosh, ba, ah, doo, doo, ah, solo. It was so cool. So I thought it was great. I thought it was like a classic of you to do the unobvious, you know. But I thought it well, sure, why not? And but because the sounds, we got such great sounds in Jim's studio that you could, for me, I could hit like each drum and it had so much value. So I think I started real simple, like playing melodic goo, ba, boo, boo, ba, 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 ba. And everything I played had so much value. You didn't have to play lots of busy notes until the very end. Then I went completely nuts with my feet up. And what I was doing was just listening to Joe and Chris, because I had to hit the accent every.
Oh yeah.
Like, so I'd be going completely out of time. And I'd be, oh my God, I hope I hit it. Bam! And I'd hit right where Joe would go, God, God. You know, it was, I've never done a solo like that.
That I know that's a crazy song, and I just picked that out because I was in that kind of a mood today. But so were there other songs that were unusual for you, or that just just gave you that perfect moment in the studio that wound up on the record?
Well, I was listening to the album again. I've heard it a lot, but last night I listened to it, and it's just unbelievable. Every song is a different movie or a different scene in a movie, but it's part of the same movie. I mean, literally, I mean, the first three songs, I mean, starts off with Shapeshifting, which to me is like, holy shit, here we are. And then it's like, for those who haven't heard it, it starts off with this manic drum fill on the snare drum, which it didn't just come the first time because I'm trying to hit rim shots like bam. Yeah. And then it goes into Chris is just amazing bass player. That line, he just drives it, and me and Chris are just driving it. And you're all going like, holy shit, where's Joe? And then Joe comes in. It's like, in a matter of seconds, it's almost like this is the movie we're in. Then the thing that is killer, it goes into big distortion. And now you settle into, holy shit, this is the movie we're in. And then it goes into All for Love, as that's the next one, right? And it brings it down. What I'm trying to say is each song is so different. And then, Alla Farker, and then Perfect Dust, which has kind of got that big band country swing thing. I mean, it just goes all over the place, but each song's like a movie, but really there's scenes that belong to one big movie. So for me, I was so excited because I like to play all styles of music, and your record touched on all of that. That was the incredible thing. And maybe, I don't know if you knew I could do that, but I like playing every style of music imaginable. And as a matter of fact, I used to get kind of teased for that. Because, when I was playing if you're playing jazz, all the rockers are going, what are you doing that for? And when you're playing rock, all the jazz are going, what are you doing? Everyone's like saying, and I'm like, well, I like all music. So your album gave me an opportunity to play multiple styles.
Well, that's, wow. I mean, I've been looking at these questions, and there was a question here about drum sounds, and it reminds me of all the interviews that I did where the journalists were asking about the drum sounds, and I kept saying, you have to understand, Kenny made that sound.
That's true.
He made that sound on his drums every time he hit it, and Jim Scott came along and he mic'd it, and he went, wow, that sounds amazing. We just got to record Kenny playing, and it's a testament to this, not only the sound that you make when you hit those drums, but you're so consistent with the energy and the tone. And besides all the obvious, you can play in time pretty good. You make a hell of a groove. You
Yeah,
kick
but
everybody's ass in the room who's playing with you.
Yeah,
And,
but
so that
you
was
and
me
Chris-
and Chris. So you know.
yeah, you and Chris, you and Chris make me sound good. I mean, Chris, I played with for years, and just our energy works perfect. But it's like you make me sound good, you know, and Chris makes me sound good. So it's not just me. But thank you very much. I'll tell you, man. I was talking to Jim about this, and I mean, Jim said, I mean, what can I say? It was it's one of the greatest drum sounds I've ever heard. It's one of the greatest sounding albums I've ever heard. And I was wondering when we were doing, like, how are you going to get all the multiple layers of all those guitar parts and all those sounds to come out? Because, you know, frequencies, you know, they all get on top of each other and it gets muddled. Somehow Jim got it so you could hear the bass, the drums, all the guitar parts, all your lead vocals came out perfect. No, but hey, I want to say
mixed, undermixed.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'll have to say, man. By the way, since we're not actually physically on tour, I've been on tour ever since we made the record. I play through the songs, a lot of the songs every day, and it's somehow the way you write. You got, I mean, I'm sitting there going, oh, that's a verse, that's an intro, that's a verse, that's a pre-chorus. Oh, there's the chorus. Oh my God, he wrote a bridge. I mean, you're so melodic, and maybe that's from years playing in bands when you grew up, you know, when you were in bands where they had vocals. Your songs are melodic. Like, I'm singing the melodies, but there's no melody. I'm no vocals, but there's a melody. It's incredible how you do that. It's really.
I don't even know anymore. All I know is I got up this morning and I'm staring at a computer and I can see. It's the most amazing thing because I can see there's Kenny Aronoff, there's Jim Scott, Chris Cheney, Eric Hudya. It's amazing. And I know John Luini's lurking in the interweb space out there somewhere, but I want to make sure everybody gets the chance to ask me some questions here. Some of them are directed to both of us, like the one about the drum sounds, but some of them, this is great. I've been seeing some of them on my phone down here, and they're wondering about Mr. Chris Cheney. So Chris Cheney somewhere in the space where he can come and join us, because that would be really cool.
You hear me, Joe?
Look at that. You look like a billion
Magically
bucks.
appearing. There you go.
You were confessing to us, Chris Cheney, bass player extraordinaire. You wake up really late in the morning, don't you?
I really do. I still haven't had my cup of coffee. I got rings under my eyes at this point. Seriously. I've been going to bed at, on average, around 3 a.m., which to some people during a pandemic, quarantined crisis might not seem late. But for me, with 2 kids, waking up at usually around 6 a.m., you know, I'm pushing my limits. I'm pushing my organs to the next level. I seem to have I lost your video, Joe.
All right, so I'm looking at this. There I am. Look at that. So, you know, I think the computer took a look at the circles under my eyes and went, where are your glass? I mean, I'm the one who's always wearing the shades. Where are my shades? I have no idea.
Yeah, Kenny and I are poaching your shit, man.
That's good. It's time for me to move on. It was Easter yesterday, so I'm like, this is my new thing, getting rid of those glasses for a bit, at least for the internet anyway. So, but Chris, you know, this is the second record that we made together. We had a lot of fun over there at Skywalker a few years ago doing Unstoppable Momentum, and I'm so happy that you agreed to come and do.
Agreed. The highlight of my career, highlight of my life. I love your playing so much, and to be a part of that record up there with you and, you know, Mike and, you know, I mean, Vinny, that was such a great experience. I had never recorded at Skywalker. I grew up in Mill Valley, California. I know you're a Bay Area native, or for many years, and that was incredible. And then to get a call from you to be a part of Shapeshifting was, you know, literally another dream coming true for me. I love your playing so much, and
Thank you.
There's so much emotion in every song that you pretty much write, but there's two particular ones for me that really hit me. One would be, I'll go to the album, but Teardrops, and it might not be the biggest bass feature. It's some of the hardest things to do as a musician, is just to play really simply, right on the, like, nail the downbeats of the chords, be a really supportive player, and it lets you shine, it lets everybody shine. And that's one of the joys of being a bass player, is having that control, that power, the simplicity of it, and your melodies on that. And then the other song, Falling Stars, just knocks me out. The hypnotic kind of ostinato bass riff, and then by the time we get to the end, that might be my favorite moment on the record. You're tearing up this guitar solo, and it's like maybe an 8 or 16 bar phrase, and it just knocks me out. I can't believe what I'm hearing. And I'm just sitting there trying to play the simplest bass riff and not get too lost in what you're doing. But it's impossible.
Yeah, I have great memories of that. And boy, that you mentioned Teardrops. That's the one that still gets me every time I'm in the studio and I'm rehearsing, playing over the song, or I'm driving around or walking around and I'm listening to that song. That is so cathartic to listen to it, even with just what I wrote it about, and then what we experienced in the studio. It was just very intense. It was a song that pushed all of us somewhere emotionally, and then every time we go out into the room and play again, you could tell everyone was carrying a little something. And when we went to mix it, just Jim did such a beautiful job of figuring out where to put everything so that starkness, it's like you said, your bass is just out there. It's like there is no place to hide.
I didn't want it to end. I feel like we really nailed that track, those takes within the first few times we played it. Yeah. But I could have played it for 12 hours. Like, I didn't want it to end. We could have done 27 more takes, Yeah. It's that powerful of a melody. I don't know where you conceived that melody, but I mean, just out of the ether. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I was sitting in this very chair, to tell you.
Do you have an extra strap I could borrow? That's the real question.
And as I showed you before, this particular strap, which is, we were talking about this, it might be, all tied up in knots, but look at that. It just, you pull on it and it untangles.
That is, I have these double gig bags I store my basses in. Every time I pull a bass out, I have to like untwist it, I could give you an example.
Soon you'll be able to get from D'Addario, Joe Satriani's very own swivel strap. It's an amazing invention. That was a shameless plug. I apologize.
Hey,
I'm not talking about straps. We're talking about the genius of Chris Cheney here. Someone here was asking me about a song that I know that we worked on a lot, which was Perfect Dust. And I remember this was a funny one for everybody because, it had this sort of hillbilly country, something in the
beginning. That one, right?
Yeah. And then it goes into this more like ZZ Top boogie, and then it gets kind of Van Halen like, and then there are these breaks, and with Eric's keyboards come in, and suddenly it gets very
more ethereal,
super modern. You know what I mean? And so we had to figure out like, well, how are we as a band going to get from section 1, section 2, and make it sound right? And it's, when I saw the question come up from one of the fans, I thought, oh, that's really funny, because that's exactly what I was thinking. And when I start practicing to that, I'm thinking, that is amazing. Chris, you actually somehow figured out a way to make it sound like it's a normal thing for a bass player to do, to play in a song that has so many stylistic changes. But when you get to the end, you go, well, that sounded like a piece of cake. It just sounds great. But we all know how many hours it took to get first of all, the three of us to swing in the right way for each section. Because that if you know, we take a microscope to that song, that's what it's all about. It's all about different swings, and how you have to be very careful when you're swinging, that every section hands off to the next, you know. And as Jim used to say, you know, sort of like a new chapter. Every time you finish one chapter, you go to another one, and it's about something else, another view of the subject. And that's how we looked at each one of these sections of the song. So
you have to really be out, you know, have your ears open to the musicians you're playing with. In this case, you know, we were tracking together, you know, you and Kenny and I just try to get lost in it. And at the same time, I'll take off Kenny's sentiments about musical genres and styles. And I share the same, you know, mentality. I grew up with everything from Zepp to Pink Floyd to the Stones to Miles Davis to Fleetwood Mac to Tom Petty to Elton John to Queen. I mean, you just start naming it, and I love it all. I've never been a musician that, you know, gets stuck in, you know, this type of music. If it's good, whether it's the Psychedelic Furs or Depeche Mode or New Order or Joy Division, whatever it is, I find the value, and if it grabs me. So your music basically takes you on a journey. And this record in particular, I think, touches on so many different styles, really, you know. And I have to really hand it, or give a big hand to Jim Scott for, I don't know how, I totally agree with Kenny too. I don't know how, I mean, your guitar tones, I mean, that's you, your fingers, you're a master, but man, it is the thick, I hear it through my iPhone without even my AirPods. And just coming out of the iPhone, it sounds unbelievable. When you put on, you know, good headphones, forget it. It's incredible. I don't know. He's a master, a complete.
Yeah, and I hate to say it because it sounds like I'm simplifying it when I say he knows where to put the microphone.
Yeah.
In fact, that is like that's wizardry. That's what that is. They put a microphone in front of a speaker and then you listen to it. I mean, there were days, you guys missed the overdub sections where we would spend, you know, a few hours going through 30 amplifiers and different speakers, and I just keep playing, and I'm looking at him like he's hearing something that is beyond me, but I'm just going to wait until he looks at me and he says, "Now that's a sound we can use," you know. And of course, he's always checking to make sure I'm comfortable with it, I'm happy. But I said, no, I want you to go as far as you can to make these sounds complete, full, just full of all the harmonic information that's going to surprise you day after day, year after year. Every time you put on the record, you just got to turn and look at the speaker and go, listen to that guitar sound. Oh my God. Listen to that bass guitar sound. Listen to that drum kit. Oh my God, you know.
Big bowl of gems. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah. The shape-shifting itself, you know, as a bass player, I love playing repetitive lines. It's almost, you know, it's like harkens back to James Brown, like a bass line that just repeats and it supports. It could have, you know, you could have two drummers, two guitars, the horn section, everything, and it just supports it. That type of groove on shape-shifting, it actually reminds me of when I think I was around 14 or 15. I'll put my age out there, when Chick Corea came out with their record. It was the Electric Band, their first record, and there's a song on there called Rumble, and it has this ostinato that's for those who don't know what an ostinato is, a repeating figure that, you know, doesn't develop too much, but everyone are playing over that develop, and you have to hold it down. And that is shape-shifting, and it's one of my joys in music, is to be able to feel how things kind of pulse and expand or extrapolate from just the simple, whether it's simple or more involved, you know, ostinato.
Yeah.
But since
I'm so glad that you like that, you gravitated towards it. You know, it's a funny thing about that song, the title track, there's nobody playing rhythm guitar. Like, it starts with you and Kenny, and I come in and I just kind of state this melody, and it doesn't really, the rhythm guitars don't come in until the chorus, you know. And then the solo section, same thing. They just halfway or 2/3 through the solo, the rhythm guitars come in, but they're just really copying your bass line. I'm just trying to follow your pulse there. And that it's delicate, but it allows the bass guitar line to just take up this huge space. I mean, the sound of the bass, first of all, is amazingly wonderful. And but the way that you played it, it really propels. I mean, it propels the song, and that's what that song needed.
Thank you. Yeah, Kenny was pushing it, man, in a beautiful way. Like, just you got to drive it. That's not a song you want to kind of hold back or pull back on.
That's right. Yeah. It needs that drive. And again, when we were doing melody and solo stuff, the idea was, now I'm going to react now, because obviously we had the demos, but I had to react to what you and Kenny had done. It was such a joy to hold back, because you guys were providing so much. What the canvas you gave me was just amazing, and it was great to be able to sit way back in the pocket with the melody, and especially the solo, to have it just sit back there like that. It's just, I thought it just brings out more emotion and tells the listener the meaning of the song so much better. But I have to ask you, so which bass was it? Because you had these amazing basses there, and what bass did you use on that song?
That bass, I believe, was the 59 P bass with round wounds. I brought a slew of basses, but I think I played the 58 P bass with flats, a 59 with rounds, and a 1960 with rounds as well. Okay. Obviously, all old Fenders that I think Jim Scott actually coined. The 58 I played on the record. He coined it years ago. My first time up at Pliers. This is over a decade ago. He coined it the moneymaker, because the tone. He's like, man, and I still to this day, just remember that.
I remember him using that as a moneymaker. That's great.
And then I also played what was it? I played a 60. What is it? It's a 65 jazz bass, like a custom color. But I think I played the 59 on Shapeshifting in particular. We wrote Jim actually, and he took notes on every track. What specific bass. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he probably does. Yeah, my list, of course, has every guitar, pedal, amp, or whatever like that. I should have written down what everybody else played, but yeah, it's too many notes. Somebody asked me, asking me about the ending of the song and the Sustainiac. Yeah, these guitars, the JS1 CRs, they come stock with Sustainiac pickup. So what you guys missed, though, I got to tell the story really quick.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to bring Eric Kodja into the chat here, is that the ending had my little keyboard on the demo. Remember that? A little roads and some sound effects, which nobody liked, and everyone was happy when I finally said, "Oh yeah, you can get rid of those." But then I was thinking of having the keyboard solo there, and that fell apart. And then GM, bless his heart, listened to me play guitar solos in every style I could come up with for about 6 hours. None of them worked for the very end. And then in sort of frustration, it's sort of like you're pulling everything out of your bag, right? And then you get to the last little thing and you go, oh, maybe this will work. And I thought, okay, I'll just turn on this Sustainiac, right? And I started going, doing stuff like that, and all of a sudden it's like, that's gonna work. Jim turns around and goes, give me a second, this is gonna work. The story evolved right from having this Sustainiac pickup. And although I have to say it's a bit embarrassing, because I was a really good musician for the whole day up until that point, where true talent was applied. None of it worked. and so there's a lesson here. And then when I decided to do something which required very little talent, it suddenly worked. And but we got this performance of me playing this thing, and I think Jim reversed it and made it fit over the keyboard performance, put me out in the room. I doubled it with the Rhodes, and then Eric took it upstairs and he did something to it, and he's going to have to explain it to us, how he extracted some harmonic information with it and then blended it in there, and that's what gave it that really weird shape-shifting sound. So we should wow. I think
wish I was there for that.
Not the whole day. No, you would have been like, oh man, how many solos? I swear it was like 180 or something like that. But yeah, it should be like a 3 CD set. All the outtakes from hell, right? Oh my God. Where is Eric? Eric, could you come on and join Chris, Cheney, and me? We're talking about that strange bit of software you use to extract.
He's making his 9th espresso.
Yeah. Yeah. There he is. Look, there he is.
Chris.
Hey Eric, how are you, man?
I'm good, thank you.
Great to see you.
What is that guitar you've got there? It's a
there.
Yeah.
It's lefty. It's a guitar. It's got like 6 strings on that one. And
I noticed before we were talking about you have John Lennon's piano behind you.
I do, yes.
That's great.
I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's right behind me.
Yeah.
And as I told you, I only play Billy Joel on it.
Yes.
And Fats Waller, of course. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. You've got a very nice looking orange guitar. But my my Zoom video feed must be reversed because there's something wrong with it.
No, it is right.
It is left-handed. Yes.
This is the real thing. A real lefty. It plays beautifully, by the way.
It
really does.
Exactly what I want to hear.
It's a beautiful shade of green.
Now, Eric, let's just start right from the beginning. You've got a $10 last name just like me. So why don't you tell everybody how to pronounce your last name properly?
Could you?
Of course. I've been saying that for like 30 years.
Please say it, Joe.
No.
I know you can. Could you? Could you?
You know, it makes no sense. I have a guitar that I bought from a really cool guy named Andre. And see, now you remember Andre, right?
Oh, yes, I do.
So I was just thinking, some people like to name their guitars, right? And this guitar happens to be a Gibson 335. And I was just thinking, it was nice of Andre to sell this guitar to me. We wound up using it for a couple of things. And but then once I realized Andre, it was this story, but I thought, what was that? We were in a restaurant on tour, something like that, and somebody called you Andre. But is that how it got started?
Well, that's my middle name, Andre, and Yves as in Ives.
Ah.
Andre is my first middle name.
I see now the secrets that are just like coming out from this Facebook Live thing is amazing.
It's not Andre, it's Andre.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Andre, 2 syllables.
So now, since the G3 live out recorded in '96, you came along, Mike Fraser. Hi, Mike Fraser, wherever you are. How you doing? He brought you in to do editing to get all those live performances together because we had to obviously pick and get the whole thing mixed up for the DVD and everything. And then we started making records together. You came out on tour with me. You play guitar, everybody knows that. You play keyboards, everybody knows that. They don't know you're a world-class nose flautist. Okay, I just had to get that out there.
Humanitone. It's called
People
Humanitone.
might be tuning it right about there. People are going like, but
I got a pro version here too, by the way.
Oh.
This is the real deal.
Yes.
For special occasions, like weddings, bar mitzvahs.
People should know, Eric tried to get us to use that on every song. Every single song. It was just, he'd come downstairs and he'd say, I have an idea.
Yeah, and I did.
And you did.
I did, yeah.
But that's all in the past now.
Unfortunately, until the next record, Joe.
So anyway, Chris and I were talking about the title track, Shapeshifting, and that really unusual sound that accompanies my Sustainiac guitar freak out at the end of the song. Can you tell us, what is that exactly?
Well, actually, that's a piece of software called Melodyne. And basically, it's a piece of software that lets you tune things like chords, like polyphonic content. Mm-hmm. So since you weren't playing any notes, it was just tonal information. I just tried to extract basically the MIDI notes out of it and ran it through some synth. I forget which one it was, and that's what happened. And it was actually really accurate. It was really funny.
It sounds so creepy at the very end.
Yeah.
As the guitar's fading out, and Jim left a little bit of that sort of sound design that was accompanying it that you put together. And every time I hear it, I think that sounds like aliens, like being born out of some pod, or it's just like, you know, I don't know, what is it? An elephant turning into a caterpillar? I don't know what it is, but every time it freaks me out.
Yeah.
You know, this is really funny. I know I'm sitting here, people see me, I'm holding a guitar and everything, but I'm looking at you and I get this feel, you kind of look like a psychologist, and you're going to be asking me these questions.
But it's funny because my dad is a psychologist.
Is that right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because that's the vibe I'm getting for you right now, and it's dangerous because I'm going to start spewing things out, and you know, so
Why
don't
just sit back, lie down, close your eyes.
Yes.
And
just
yes. And actually, I can do the.
That's good. Can you get a Sustainiac on that thing? Because that would.
I wish I could. Next one.
Next.
No, I got to say something to you though.
Oh, okay.
Between the green strap and the black and white strap is this poor red strap that has like space in between. Why?
You know, this is the wall of strap prototypes.
-1.
Most of them, the really beautiful looking ones are designed by Rabina, of course.
Oh, cool.
And so there's some prototypes where we're checking the size of the things that she draws them by hand. She sends them off to the good folks at D'Addario, and they figure out a way to make them into a repeatable design straps. And then as you get over here, some of the ones that look a little weird, of course, they come from, you know, that's why I'm sitting here talking to my psychologist.
Exactly.
And anyway, and then there's even a couple of paper ones. And then, of course, I would like to just shamelessly promote.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this actually, Joe. Can you do a quick demo?
It's available very soon from what I've heard from my good folks there. See, you've got a strap and it's all tangled up. And what are you going to do? You just pull on it.
No, do that again?
That's right. You know, it's just like that.
Oh, that is incredible.
I know. The swivel strap, right? Look at that. That's amazing. That's great.
That is quite something, yeah.
So now let's just get to brass tacks here, because I'm looking at these questions here that are coming from everybody. First of all, thank you everyone for sending all these great questions. This is amazing. And you're the mysterious person in the project, because everyone's seen Kenny play with just about everybody. He's so famous as a drummer, and Chris is the same way. But they're wondering, like, they've only seen you from our DVD live in San Francisco, and you just shredding it up on the guitar and the keyboards. And but on these projects, a lot of times you're working with me before we get to the studio, telling me how all my songs are just crap and I have to rewrite the whole album. And then after we get over that. And then you're in the studio, and then you're sort of facilitating things. You're commenting, you're working, you're coming into the room for wherever we've stashed you. Sometimes you're upstairs, downstairs, off to the left, and you're bringing in musical performances that you've been working on while you've been listening to everybody else play stuff over and over again. Mm-hmm. Then we all get together once tracking's finished, overdub sessions, same thing happens. Many times, probably more than on any other record, we've sent you out to sit at various keyboards. You've whistled, you've clapped, you've played several Hammonds and electric pianos and string synths that I don't even remember what they're called. You might remember some of those things. Besides the fact that you're doing strange things with your computer upstairs in that funny room up there. But I'm thinking, like, there's got to be a couple of songs where you really felt that you could apply some old secret stuff that you wanted to, for many years and never got a chance to. And that's what I hear sometimes when I'm listening to the record. I'm saying to myself, I bet that came from somewhere deep. So I'm turning the psychotherapy around here. I'm interviewing the doctor now.
Yes, talk to me.
So this is where I say, so how do you feel about that?
I feel very good about it, actually. I like to be like on the side, like hidden, like lurking behind you guys when you're doing your thing you do, So, and usually I bring stuff to you and you go like, what is wrong with you? And then I just go back to my, corner closet, wherever I came from, and cry for a little while. And then a couple of days later, you go like, who was that? Yeah, that's usually the process, right?
It is. But it's a, I think, like, I was thinking about, Perfect Dust, because you had provided us with just a whole bunch of beautiful keyboard alternatives to the ones that were on my demo for the breakdown sections or the chorus sections. But of course, when you're out there and you're tracking, you're in a very different world. It's just very sort of gritty musicians in a room pounding out a song, And then you would come in and you'd say, "Oh, how about this thing for this section?" And it just comes from another planet, and you have a hard time receiving it. But once you've done all the overdubs, all the musicians are gone, things quiet down. You're not physically like playing anything, so you're not getting any sort of tactile, feedback. You can, at least for me, I can suddenly hear what it is that you gave us in a proper format. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm not feeling anything with my fingertips or anything. So I just sit there and I listen to it like a normal person, and I go, "Wow, this is great." And that's the rhythm of what you were doing is what really made those sections really work. And I think that's very commendable. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
And I want to point out there were things that you did that were very subtle, like All for Love,
Yes.
enhancing that funny little guitar thing that I recorded. That was also a live guitar and something that I had programmed that we couldn't reproduce again. And that, it sounds like one thing, but actually it's a stack of things.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It's very clever. Again, and thank you for being able to make these things transparent. That was the one word that you brought up in response to the demos that I thought was the most interesting. And you were very delicate in how you told me, like, well, perhaps, Joe, we might be able to use things more transparent. And I'm going, did he just tell me my keyboards really suck? We need to replace them. And yes, you were saying that, but you were right. And but as I said before, we did make you just go out there and learn parts in like a minute.
Yeah.
And just play them on the B3 or C3. What is it that Jim's got there?
B3.
Yeah, it's a B3. Those were funny sessions. I mean, when I think about it, they were.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, that was great. It was nice actually to have that huge, big warehouse room where all these toys were. That was so good.
Yeah.
Like one of the best memories actually. It's like you want to try something, it's there. It's plugged in at all times. Just go there, bang on it, and you played some stuff too.
I played a little bit of stuff here and there. Yeah. When you weren't around, I'd lean on the keyboards. I've got a big forearm. I can get a lot of notes going. And but yeah, I don't know. I just it's difficult to express sometimes because some of the performances are so subtle, but they're so important. And Chris was mentioning Teardrops, and so there's a song where not only what everybody played and what everybody contributed in terms of songs and playing parts, as you did on that song as well, but I think what was invaluable was just everyone's opinion as we would listen back.
Oh yeah.
And, Kenny would say something like, "Oh, it would be great if we could hear that little thing I did," or Chris would say, isn't it just let the bass just stay out there all by itself? And you mentioned a lot about the weird teardrop things that I had recorded, had a very odd warbling kind of delay return.
Yes.
And many times you had said, I hope you're keeping that.
Yeah.
I hope you're keeping that, you know. And so people should know that, you know, it's like it's a fun house. We're all in there listening. Everyone's throwing out their opinions, their ideas, and you know, ultimately it's just Jim and I, you know, working. It's actually Jim doing the mixing and turning around and looking like, is that cool, Joe? Can I do that? But all of those opinions from everybody preceding, you know, the mix were so important to making the record happen. And
yeah, no, absolutely. And also the fact that, you know, you're talented enough that you actually can write songs, and not that many people can. And what we do, and I think I can speak for the whole band, is that we're there to support the song. So Kenny's got to provide his thing, Chris does his thing, and the song is written. So for me, it's kind of like being the background. If there's anything that I feel missing, I just throw it in there. And because it's only, you don't have to basically polish a turd. It's there, not the turd, the song. So all you have to do is kind of like, you know, paint some nice little things around it, and that's it.
yeah.
And that's why it's important that everybody had their thing to say and do.
Yeah, what a magical place, you know. Pliers, the studio, it's so, I've used the word funhouse, but that's not the right term. It's just, it's got a special magic to it. And I have these really strong memories of listening back to the mixes, and experience them in that room, and hoping, like, what I'd say to myself, like, whatever this beautiful thing that's happening right here in this room, I hope and pray that it travels around the world. And when somebody's listening to it at home, in the car, in the earbuds, whatever, that they experience what we're experiencing here. And that, you know, that led us to, like, for that song Teardrops again, to letting Kenny's kick drum just sit there, you know, and at the beginning of that first phrase, and because, wow, I mean, that's such a beautiful sound, and so wonderful that we were able to capture that, and the song allowed that to happen, and it all helps tell the story, you know, to the listener. Just that always reminds me that everything got recorded so well that we didn't have to pile a bunch of stuff on, and everyone was allowed to kind of play their own part. So it wasn't like everybody playing the same part. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everyone remained an individual on all the tracks. And as Chris was pointing out, sometimes their parts were very simple and supportive. Other times they had a lot of playing to do.
Oh yeah.
They had to step out.
Yeah. And you know what, also as a whole, because I've known you for a few years now, couple, what was it, 96 was it?
Yes.
Oh wow, you were young then.
Yes, I was, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed, not only that then, back at Pliers, just like you seem throughout this record, and I think it was a symbiosis of everything that made what, you know, became Shapeshifting. You felt so relaxed through it all. It was, and you were happy doing it.
Yes, yeah.
And I was too. That was one of the best time I've ever had on the Satriani record. Although I must say there was one bit that kind of like was really disappointing.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you and I, right?
Yes. Nobody listening.
No. So it's Joe. The whistling.
Oh.
The whistling, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. People should know. And look, this is Facebook Live. In fact.
Oh, it's live?
Yeah. In fact, there's 17 billion people viewing this right now. I have the statistics are right here.
Oh yeah. I see them.
Okay. You know, I kept thinking like we were going to hire the guy, the woman to show up and just whistle like crazy. And for a part that was never supposed to be there. It was a joke. And then all of a sudden it became a thing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, it'll be great. We'll go out and we'll whistle it'll be great. But the shame that I carry with me to this day is that I'm standing there on the drum riser with the overheads, and there's Jim Scott to my left, there's Eric to my right. We all start whistling. Sounds great. And I'm thinking, this is great. And then we do the individual whistles, and Jim whistles, sounds great. And Eric whistles, sounds great. And then, okay, they go, okay, Joe, now let's do your part. And
Oh, that was so funny.
yeah, nothing came out. It was just.
No, not much came out.
And I was thinking, like, am I even on this track, or like, these guys just humoring me? Like, what's going on? No, but but you know, I can whistle. But
No,
what I learned is when the pressure is on, suddenly I can't whistle. Like right now, if you ask me to do it, I can't do it.
Okay, we'll forget about that. But Jim was this amazing whistler, I must say. Actually, Jim was amazing all around. Jim was incredible. It was my first time working with him. I ran across him for years in the studios, you know, but it was great. It was great working with Jim.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic.
We should bring everybody on, right?
Yeah.
Where are they? Are you guys listening? Because, you know, I got all these questions here. There's no way I can answer all of these folks here, but this is amazing. But they're coming from all angles, wondering, first of all, how come Jim Scott is so handsome? So, and of course, I'm guessing it's the Pliers diet. Is that it, Jim?
Well, you should. It's the Pliers diet, and my mother was actually a really beautiful woman. So.
Oh, look at that. That's wonderful. I believe that. But the Pliers diet is really good. People should know. You know, usually when you're in the studio, if you get a, you know, chili cheeseburger or something like that, there goes the session, right? If you get that for lunch. So Jim Scott, wise man that he is, fed us properly to keep us energized.
Yeah, I miss those, Jim.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get you all back up there and have a meal together. You know, that's one of the things about working in recording studios. You get so caught up in the work that you have to do and the process that it takes and the repetition of, you know, trying to get your part or get your sound, and you forget about conversation and you forget about eating. And it's like, oh, is anyone hungry? Yeah, let's order something. Where do you want to eat? And then you go through the menu book and it's just a nightmare, and no one wants that. So, you know, for me and for my clients and for the people that I love to work with, if you share a meal together or a couple every day, you get to talk, you get to know each other, you get to do something else besides just work. And so, you know, the Pliers diet, try to eat something healthy so you can have energy to go back to work. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. That's, I remember in that room there, which, you know, people should know, it's filled with guitars, basses, amps, keyboards, drum sets, memorabilia, artwork, LPs, cassettes, 8 tracks. What am I missing? Marxophones, all kinds of acoustic instruments, and the PA is on, stuff's plugged in. So let's say if you finish your salad a little bit, you can go over and play some keyboards, you know, fool around like that. What sticks out at me though is at one point, Chris, you showed us some ridiculous plank exercise.
Oh yeah. The 5-minute plank.
5-minute plank. People don't realize, I mean, you look just like very demure and comfortable in your studio there with those shades on. They have no idea what a machine that body is that you have sculpted with your exercise routine. And I think about that because after we saw that plank, I thought, well, I should go easy on the bread, perhaps.
No in and out on the way home. No.
Yeah, no in and out on the way home. No.
Oh yeah. So that's 5. Are you still doing 5-minute planks, or you're up to 20?
I held it until this. I was doing it about into the first week of the quarantine. Then I kind of scaled back for I don't even know what reason. Now I actually have more time now, so I should be on it. But yeah, and people should know it's not just like you're holding a plank, you know, this way for 5 minutes. You hold it for 1 minute, then you drop here for 30 seconds, but stay there and lift one foot, then lift your other foot for 30 seconds. Then you're at 2.5 minutes. then go to a side plank for 30 seconds, 30 seconds out of the side, back here for 30 seconds, finish here for a minute, 5 minutes, voila.
You know, it's so funny because Kenny, I know you're smiling like me because we were like, oh yeah, I can do that. Of course.
I even did I remember I called you up and said, hey Joe, can I do on Instagram a post about your record? Said, you know, not yet, but you could talk about Chris's plank. So Chris, I don't know if you saw it. I did an Instagram post and I said, this is Chris Cheney's plank that we did when we were making the record. And I actually got on the ground. I got on the ground and started it. I didn't do 5 minutes, right? But
the thing is, as well, for I guess what we do, especially guitar and bass, I mean, drums, I think is a little more symmetrical, but just sitting like this with my shoulder kind of cocked forward, I try to work on my posture. You know, we're all getting older, and it's the best thing you can do for your torso, like your core, just because I sit a lot. You know, I'm in the studio and I'm not always standing because of the weight of the bass. You know, that's what I started to do out of necessity, really, just for back pain, and I got a little tendonitis, so I have some different routines I do.
It's a great plank. You're right, because that's a good thing you brought that up, because what makes it possible to do the 5 minutes is that you start moving, you're doing the different positions, different forms.
Exactly. It's like if you do crunches.
But it's great. It's better. It's better because you're actually touching other muscles. Like what you were saying, when you hold your hands like this and you turn them in like that, now all of a sudden your lats.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Hey, I want to say something about Teardrops, because you guys, I would die and listen to you guys talk about that, because that was my second song. Do you remember at one point I looked at you guys and went, and just so the listener knows, the song, it's a slow 3/8, like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. No, it's even slower. 1, 2.
Nobody can count that. I know. I couldn't count.
No, it's in 7. It's in 7 until the solo, and then it goes into 6. And what I mean is, it's 7 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3.
Yeah. See,
4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 7, 2, 3. Now you're back to the beginning. But when the solo came, it went to groups of 6, groups of 3. I mean, but what was happening was, I said to Joe and Chris, I said, you guys, this song is so slow. I'm starting to hear my own brain thinking. And it's a good thing we see the shrink right there, because I was starting to go crazy. I said to Joe, I think I need a break. I'm starting to go wacky, because it's so slow. You can actually, you can hear the wind go by or something. I mean, and it's just the repetition. That was one of the hardest songs to record, because it was so.
That's the power of just like I said, just being able to sit there, pluck a whole note and really nail that downbeat right on the nose, and that's it. No passing tones or fillers or little slides and licks. It's just like, that's the impact and power of that piece of music. And your melody, I'll say it again, just kills me.
Yeah, that song was like, I never recorded a song like that in my life. Never.
Yeah,
I literally could hear my brain thinking it was freaking me out. I remember I said, I think I need a break.
I remember.
Too many coffees, Kenny.
Huh?
Too many coffees.
No, Eric, everybody, Eric is the greatest coffee maker in the world now. I'm addicted. I want to hear the record without all of Eric's stuff, and then hear the record with all of Eric's stuff. I bet you it's a completely different sounding record, right? The invisible genius, right? Right, Joe?
Wow, but it's funny. Some of the stuff is so big. Some of the actual keyboard stuff that we threw him out into the room to play is so big. We've already talked about his whistling prowess, which I don't think those 2 words have ever been strung together before, but it just came out of my mouth somehow. But playing the keyboards, everybody wants, as a musician, they want to develop a kind of an affinity to handling their instrument and coaxing things out of it. I mean, it's one thing to learn how to play what other people have played, but it's an entirely different thing to use your talent to bring something new and fresh out of an instrument. Doesn't matter if it's a stringed instrument, a keyboard, or manipulating software. It's musical decisions that are coming from somebody's spirit. And so, you know, Eric's not in the room with us when we're tracking, so it's a different kind of a thing, but I know exactly every big and little thing that he's done. And some of them, like we said, we just say, Eric, come on down. And he'd come down the stairs and we say, could you go out and play all those chords that are there? And he's like, well, what are the chords? And he'd sit there and fool around with the chords. And we'd say, okay, we're recording you now. and we just make him play the stuff. But he's got that thing. He has the musician's gift to be able to develop an affinity to whatever it is that he's got to coax music out of. And he creates.
Well, not only that, but listening to Yesterday. Oh, can you go out there and just program that old Radio Shack Moog and make a great sound out of it? Oh, yeah. When you're done with that, can you just play the Marxophone? Oh, that'd be great. And then we're going to go whistle. So yeah, all like that and that and that. That's some power. That's Eric.
Oh,
very impressive.
That's the funny thing is, though, is that your coffee cups are so small. Why don't you just get a larger cup? So you don't.
Oh no, I'm just a huge man. The coffee cup is
But you must be like 7'4" or something like that.
Yeah,
That's a normal cup right there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's good.
Here.
And he's a shrink on the side. He's a therapist.
I know. Well, if I drink too much coffee, this is what happens to my hand. So you know, like, ow. Okay.
Yeah, I could never drink coffee before Teardrops.
Oh yeah.
No, you better not.
No, but see, like Ali Farka, that's a good.
That was
a
inspiration song.
That is a cool. That is like it's got an Indian vibe to it, but then there's Dick Dale in the background.
It's so complex, and yet you and Chris had to provide this just never-ending pulse.
Oh yeah,
not a whole bunch of notes, but just a lot of like energy and pulse. And I feel like when I've been here in the studio trying to rehearse how I would play that live, it's a completely schizophrenic experience. I've got to imitate Ali Farka and Dick Dale, and then me, and then go back and forth. It's really strange, but wow, what a sound you guys produced! So amazing. Well,
I agree with what Chris was saying, man. That's the coolest thing when you just lay down, whether it's a bass part or a drum part, and just hold it. I mean, it is the coolest thing in the world. I totally relate to that. You don't have to be doing a lot of to play a song like Shapeshifting or anything where we're repeating Ali Farka, the same thing, repeating and repeating. If you just nudge it one little bit, it'd blow the whole groove. And it's so cool to lay that foundation and believe in it. I totally relate, man. That's the coolest. And then have you on top of it doing all this amazing stuff, and we just hold it right there. I mean, that's just magic. I love that.
Yeah, it's thrilling when I listen to that. There's mixing magic that Mr. Jim Scott did there, trying to get all those guitar sounds to fit and hand off to each other. It's like a baton race of some kind. A couple of people, Jim asked me about the outboard gear, and I thought, I kind of think I know, but I should have you just maybe mention one or two EQs or mic pre's that you relied on for my guitar sound on the record, if there was a group that seemed to work best.
Yeah. Well, anybody that knows me at all and has seen the records that I make, I'm sort of I kind of work in an old school kind of fashion. I use older recording consoles. I'm still on a console. I use old Neve recording consoles from the 70s. And all the equipment that I use at the studio is, real equipment in a rack with knobs and buttons. I'm just because I own this equipment and I know how to use it, that's what I use. I'm not really opposed to anything, but I don't use pictures of equipment. I use real equipment. And it's not a moral judgment. It's just I own this equipment and I know how to use it and I love to use it. I love to touch it and turn the knobs, and it's fantastic. So most of your guitar sounds were recorded through, we set up one of my Neve sidecars, a 10 input Neve sidecar that had 1073 equalizers in it. And we used various combinations of microphones, but they all came through that console. So that was, Neve 1073s, and everything was, had a little bit of compression on it. All your guitars had a bit of compression through some old Blackface 1176s, Uri 1176s, very common, very coveted, very well-known. All our favorite engineers that we've admired over the years, from Andy Johns to Ron Nevison to Glenn Johns, Lee DiCarlo, all my heroes, this was the kind of stuff that they made famous back in the heyday of making amazing records in the 60s and 70s. So that's what I've collected, and that's what we've used. Chris and Kenny were recorded much in the same way. I have another Neve console that has a different kind of a mic pre, a 1081. It's an old Neve 8048 console, and it's very simple recording process. It's stuff that I've learned from my mentors. You take the best mic you have and you plug it into the best mic pre that you have, and you put it in front of the best sounding thing you have, and you record it as quickly as possible, because no one wants to wait around for you to say, I still need some time to get the sound together. That's horrible. Nobody wants that. Let the musicians play, and as soon as they play something good, it sounds good, and then you're done. That's it.
You make it sound so simple. I love it. And people respond to this. I spent since we finished the record, and we sent out the private links to journalists around the world, even to the folks in Greenland. Hello, fans in Greenland.
Wow.
It is amazing and so heartwarming to hear feedback from these journalists who would respond, in recognizing all the things that we loved about what we were doing, and sort of validating all those efforts that everybody put in individually and then as a group. And that's always the fear, that you put stuff into making an album and for some reason it goes over everybody's head and they miss it. But this particular record has just seemed to create this spark where everybody I talked to has listened to it and spent time with it. They mention those things. They mention how they love the sound of the detail, the overall sound, the quality of the sound of everybody's instruments, the uniqueness of the mixes. They can turn the record up really loud, or they can listen to it quietly, or as like Chris was saying, just coming out of your iPhone across the room. The sounds are great. They're strong, they're full, harmonically full, but it's not safe. And that's one thing I wanted to bring up. I had written a note down here to that I loved how Jim, you pushed me to try using some different amps and different sounds, how you arrange groups of guitars, help me separate parts. So much fun to do, so much and so exciting. And then now when I come home and I listen to the album, I go, wow, now these sounds are part of me. They're part of what people will hear. That's part of my catalog, part of the thing that now I can sort of add to my musicianship. So that it goes so far beyond just making an album. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think, well, thank you, Joe. It was really a lot of fun to do, and I would do it again tomorrow if we could. But, you've mentioned a couple times how the record translates from a telephone to a home stereo to a computer speaker to the studio. And I think now's a really good time to have a little high five and a shout out to John Cudaverde, who mastered the record for us.
Yes.
mastering is tricky. Mastering is a very, very tricky and mysterious phenomenon. And most of the time, you know, I have some allies, mastering allies that are my friends that help me and master my records. And they're great and I love them, but you don't always, sometimes it's not as good, or sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's not as good, sometimes you just have to settle. But John did an amazing job mastering this record. And I know he did it with a lot of love because you have a good relationship with him, but it was a really special addition to the record, to the final product. It is what it is because of him. So I just wanted to
yeah, thank you, John, over there in Oakland. Amazing that the amount of teamwork there's. I'm looking down here at my phone because they're sending me all these questions, and so many of them are directed towards the teamwork effort here in making a record. Of course, people, you know, they only know what they see in documentaries and things like that, or unless they're, you know, making records on their own. But it's interesting what you never know what people are going to pull out of a record and focus on. As I was saying before, I've done, you know, hundreds of interviews for Shapeshifting so far, and I'm always surprised when it's one song particular that hits a journalist, or maybe a part of the song, you know, just a thing that elicited a response from them. And I can go back and I can think, well, I remember that day. You know, we all showed up pretty early for some reason, and we tweaked the guitars. By the way, Mike Manning, I'm sure you're watching this, Mike Manning, my master technician. He tweaks all these guitars so that I can play them, and I couldn't do it without him. And so, you know, Mike would be there tweaking all the guitars, asking me, what are you going to play today, Joe? What do I have to get ready? And we'd all start talking about, you know, what song we're going to jump into and what mood everybody's in. We would all do our 30-minute planks. All right, maybe 20. And actually, we do a group plank, which is Chris on the bottom and Cheney on top of Chris, and then we all kind of pile up, and then Mike Manning would be the very top there.
How you build the house, man.
It just tells you how strong Chris Cheney is. It's just it's 6, 7 guys on top of him, and he's like lifting one, you know, arm up, like, okay, now the leg. But just everyone's sort of zoning in. We, you know, have our coffee, everyone does their thing, and all of a sudden we're in the room. Everyone goes over there listening to the demo or listening to get their monitors together. They take out their charts, they change snare drum, bass, guitar, whatever, and boom, magic. You know, it's like, that's like real teamwork. I mean, it's everybody, you know, the teamwork involved is so important. And as I put on the liner notes, what people will see, I was thinking, you know, even the people of Valencia were really great, because that's where we had to live for about 2 months. And everyone was great in the town. And everyone that we had to interface with as we were, you know, at least I was making my temporary home there, really contributed to making it a great experience. And I'll always remember that. I know I went off on a tangent there, but I had to say that because I saw some of these questions, and, you know, we don't make records in vacuums. Even if some of us, we get to make them when we're at home, we can get to drive home, which is great every night. But then every once in a while, you make a record out of town. And I guess it was this one question about, you know, what was different about the What Happens Next record. And that was made partly out of town, so wasn't quite the same. This one, well, I wasn't thinking we were going to go out of town to make it, but I think when Rabin and I visited Jim, we just really, really fell in love with Jim's environment that he created there. And we were so impressed with him as just a human being that we thought we could hang here for months and we'd have a great time. And it felt like it was creatively fertile, like that stuff is going to happen in these rooms. and it's not going to happen anywhere else in the world. It's going to happen right here. And so I'm glad everybody else was able to commute. So that was great. So that was the main difference for me was, believe it or not, you work all day and then you have a late dinner and you're in a hotel room and you wake up and you head back to the studio. That's got it sticks in your mind. I mean, I know it shouldn't, but it does. And it has a way, I think, of focusing for me, my job, because I don't have to deal with anything else. I just thinking about what am I going to play today? How am I going to inspire everybody to make them feel like they can really contribute some of their best work. That was a question I got here actually about how do you get people to contribute, their best work. It's kind of out of your hands. If you're lucky enough, right, to have Kenny and Chris and Eric and Jim, then you don't have to do anything. You just say, show up and bring your stuff, Anyway, I guess I wanted to say, I wanted to make sure, first of all, that everybody got a chance to say what they wanted to say about just giving the shout outs that they wanted to do. If any of you guys have one little message that you want to send out to your fans and everything, now is the time to do it. So I'm looking right now, Chris, you're on the screen.
I just want to thank everyone, all of you guys, and Jim, your studio exudes vibe to the hilt. I can't, thank you enough, Joe, for picking Jim, because I hadn't been there for several years. And right when you said, first of all, when you asked if I wanted to be a part of this record, I was so 100% all in and stoked. And then the fact that you decided to do it with Jim up at Pliers, just like was whatever, the Jimmy's on the Sunday or the cherry on the cake, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to say I love you guys, and I'm really flattered and honored to be working with you and to be a part of this.
Wonderful.
I have no shameless plug other than I love y'all.
I love you too. Kenny.
I pretty much, Chris said what I was going to say. I mean, it's just Joe. Yeah, it's Chris. Thanks for teaching me the 5-minute plank. That's all I got to say. No, Joe. I mean, the whole experience was great. Jim and I go way back to 1989 with the Bodines.
Something like that. And I got to tell you, I'm jumping in on top of you, but Kenny, I got to thank you. First of all, the first record I ever produced was the Bodines record.
Yeah.
And I made the record with the best I could. And we took a little break and I realized that the record wasn't very good. And we had to start over. And Sam called you and you came down and showed me what a session was supposed to be like. And you saved the record. And you probably saved my production career, because if my first record would have been the record I was making at the time, no one would have ever hired me again. So my shout out is to you. Thank you for saving my career on the first record we ever worked on together, and for playing so beautifully and wonderfully and musically on this record. It's a work of art. You really impressed me on this one.
Thank you. Wow, I didn't realize, because when we did the Bodines record, I thought you had been producing for 10 years.
No.
You guys, anyway, thank you so much, man. This is a very, very special record we just made on every level. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It just is. It's just amazing.
Well put.
And Kenny, not to mention, thank you for introducing me to Joe.
Oh, thank you.
If it hadn't been for you, he'd have been working up, he'd been with Frazier again someplace.
Well, I think, Joe, I did a post, because I was working with you playing percussion on, I forgot her name, but
Laura Monroe's record.
Yeah. And I did a post because, your studio is so gorgeous. Did you see that post? Is that what it was? Or
you sent me a text, actually, and we were trading some info about the upcoming Hendrix tour.
Yeah.
And you just casually mentioned you were at Jim's place. What a great guy, amazing engineer, wonderful studio. And then you went on with the business at hand. And that was when I realized, like, oh, of course, but he'd never work with me. That was exactly what I thought.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
he works with big bands with singers and
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then, as I often do, I just thought contrarian for a moment. And I thought, well, maybe he's just sitting around looking at the phone going like, how come like that Satriani dude never calls me? So I said, I'd give that guy a call.
I thought that seriously, I know both you guys, Jim and you, and I thought it was a perfect match with personalities because, and I told Joe this and I told Jim this, that it's very, very important for musicians that are in the room, got headphones on, to have the right guy on the other side of the glass in the control room to know when to speak, what to say, to keep the ball rolling. It's it's like a great director directing like Al Pacino. You better say the right thing at the right time. You're going to blow the whole groove. Yeah. And I thought Jim was the perfect, as if he was the next, another player in the band. And it worked exactly like I thought it would. He just, it was a great match. You and Jim, I thought.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for
the
that.
casual little post there, because that definitely did it. And it just getting everybody together. It's so important that the team worked. We haven't heard from Mr. Eric Kodja.
Oh yes, you have. You got
I think tells me we're going to hear a little bit more. Eric.
Yeah, well, I as I said, I've just had a great time. I think we all had.
What are you doing? You're doing this.
Oh no, I'm just putting myself to sleep.
They used to do that in the late 60s with the camera, but now I guess we just do it this way.
I'm trying to put myself to sleep and it's not working.
Oh,
but it's feeling good, man. No, I just want to say that I just had a great time on this record, and I know all of us did. So, and it was my first time actually working with all of you guys, Jim, Kenny, Chris, and it was awesome. It was really, really cool. And that's about it. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Right on.
Yeah, let's do it again. Et pour toute ma famille en France et mes amis, bonjour.
Yes, I was going to say that. Oh, but you said it first. I'm glad you did. Because I know there's people here. That people have been watching this, not only Facebook. I'm reading this thing here, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, all over the world. So there are some people who did understand what you just said. I hope it wasn't offensive.
No, I don't think so.
You said something like, my hovercraft is full of eels. Thank you. Incredible. First of all, again, as I said yesterday when we were doing this test, the first time I'd seen all of you together in one space, even though this is virtual, since we made the record. And it's just so amazing. I love you guys. It's so great that you did this, that you helped me reach out to the fans, let everybody know about this record. And you offered up all these secrets, even though some of them are embarrassed me to no end, but that's good. And I know there's tons of questions going on. This is crazy. We're in a lockdown. I hope everyone's doing great. We'll get over this crisis. We just got to do the right thing. But in the meantime, I know there's a million questions here. I don't know how I'm going to get to all of them. So I'm going to ask John Luini, our webmaster, to kind of step in and help me deal with some of these questions so we can make all of our fans as happy as possible. All right? Mr. John Luini, can you appear magically on the screen? I'll do some magical.
You don't need to see me. I'm just going to talk. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Host. How do you say that?
Host.
Host.
Host. Host.
That is,
Host.
for those that can't tell, that's because there's an umlaut over the O in host. I thought we would just try and rapid fire some questions for all the fans that have been patiently asking them away. But it's been a fascinating conversation. So we'll just see if we can do this quickly for a bit and then let you all go. I know it's been it's been over an hour and 15 or something like that. It's been a while, hour and a half actually. So here's one for Chris from Sonny Carter Guitar. What was your favorite bass line to play on the album?
Potentially the B section on Shapeshifting.
All right, Joe, from Acaria Ferreira, if I butchered his name, I apologize, or her. What was in your mind when you wrote Perfect Dust?
Oh, yes. Perfect Dust. Well, I had this idea reading a Mexico City Blues by Jack Kerouac. And at one point he's talking about the dead turning into dust, perfect dust, not perfect dust. And I started to think, imagine like a funny movie. You're in a cemetery and the camera goes below the ground and the dead are having a party because of course they have no problems anymore. Their problems of life are over and they're having this party. So that's the upbeat part of the song. But then as the camera comes above ground, you see mourners standing over the graves of loved ones. And of course, that's the melodic breakdown section of the song that appears, the chorus sections. And I was trying to figure out, well, how could I, write music to give voice to these two completely different things. I know it's kind of strange. It's like a science fiction thing, but it's just reality. There's life and there's death. But I was sort of overwhelmed with the feeling that the people that pass on, they leave their problems behind, and so there's got to be a way to be happy about that. I know it's a question, but
wow,
That was heavy.
that was heavy. Oh
I
my
didn't tell
God.
you guys that when we were tracking.
Wow, that's
Just to
great,
show
Joe.
you, the fans have good questions, right? They dig deep.
Yes, they do. They always do.
Here's one which I feel like it wasn't directed to anyone in particular, but I think it might be directed to Jim because it says, I wonder what his favorite food is, from Chris Barnes. So maybe all of you can talk about your favorite food very quickly that you had during the sessions.
Well, the Pliers diet is salad and vegetables pretty much. I like that sushi. You take it home, you fry it up. It's not too bad. No, salad and vegetables. That'll get it done for me.
Ditto.
Yep.
I miss it.
Yep. I do too.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
If I just like to add coffee. Thank you.
Yeah, coffee. Coffee's good.
Coffee's
and
good.
Eric's coffee.
Yeah, Eric's coffee. Yeah,
Hey,
that's the coffee. That's the coffee in my studio now. Eric's coffee. There it is. Bam.
Nice.
I've ordered lots of that. The red ones. I think
Yeah.
it's full
Okay.
strength. The red ones.
Good, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Here's a guitar question from Nick Summers. Was it a conscious decision to explore soundscapes and themes over solos this time? You got some great tones on this one. How did you feel about exercising restraint on the signature Sach legato?
Yeah, this question really zeroes in on something that really came to mind during the Hendrix tours that we were doing last year. It's something when you play somebody else's music over and over again every night, and you begin to realize what the architecture of the songs are, and in terms of Hendrix, there's this beautiful simplicity to how he wrote the songs, but then how he expressed the songs was incredibly complex. You just can't get close to what he did. You can kind of imitate a little bit here and there, but I was blown away by that. And as I would come home from the tours and I'd be writing, I'd be thinking to myself, it's a good time to clear out all the stuff that is really technical based, that has a lot to do with the tactile fun you have about playing guitar, and really try to imagine yourself listening to the music as you're writing it, and try to make sure that you don't overplay. Basically, that's the simplest way I can look at it, is just like, can you really make that one note sound so beautiful and have such a powerful message in it? And this goes way back to when I was just about 18 years old. I took a few lessons from the great Lenny Tristano, and he was trying to get me to play a note without any vibrato or anything on it from either hand. And his point was, can you actually play it? Can you prove to me and yourself that you could make one note not sound like it sucks? Just can you make it sound good? And that's kind of like a lesson you carry with you for the rest of your life. And so in this particular record, I was thinking the pullback is important as an exercise, just to make sure that you don't overplay, and that a particular song has a unique musical message to it. If you show off on every song that you can go up and down and express the scale that relates to the key of the song all over the place, you've just made every song the same. Because every time someone puts on that song, it's like, oh, there's Joe again. He's going up and down the neck, telling us he can do that and that and that. And so what happens, how do you get a song like Teardrops not to sound like Perfect Dust, not to sound like Yesterday's Yesterday or Falling Stars? And the easy answer is, well, don't play the same stuff. It's so easy. The first thing you get rid of is demonstrating. Get rid of anything that sounds like you're demonstrating to somebody some sort of technique, and just stick to the story, the emotion, the feeling. And so anyway, that's what I made. I just put myself through the ringer at home doing that. I just made sure that I didn't overplay. And I'm so happy that, I had this team with me that sort of encouraged me along the way. There were times where I really did have to play complicated bits here and there. But mostly, I think everybody understood it was about the power of the melody and the phrasing. And those are the hardest things, to write a great melody and to phrase these melodies and solos parts correctly. It's the hardest thing in the world. And but it's the most fun thing, because I love being a musician and hanging out with other musicians. So it was not a chore. It was fun.
All right, here's one for Kenny from Jonathan Skeels. Do you use a practice kit at home, or do you have a full setup?
Well, I used to have a studio in my house when I lived in Indiana, a full-blown setup. And but now I live in Studio City, and it'd be a little bit too noisy to do that here. So I have my own studio. What I do have is a practice pad setup that mimics my studio setup. So if I don't have the time to race to the studio to work on something, I can at least go through the motions on the practice pad kit. But I love working on real drums, so I go to my studio most of the time and just work there.
Excellent. All right, here's, I think, a question. This applies to everybody, and it's truly quick rapid fire. How many pairs of sunglasses do you own? Which are your favorites, and does it make you play better?
Definitely makes me play better. I play better because of my glasses. There's no question.
I don't own a lot, but these are prescriptions, so I can actually see.
Ooh.
I got a big bowl of sunglasses at the studio that people have left. So I got everything from these Ray-Bans that somebody left to, some Bono, like Gucci kind of ones, It's there's a lot of sunglasses, but these work.
Did I leave any there?
I stole these sunglasses from the big bowl at
yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's great. I love
All right, here's another one that's about a specific song. So Danny Chelleman says, Joe, what about all those weird sounds in the final Shapeshifting track? I feel there's a coming about an alien. Really reminds me of science fiction movie. Shivers in my body all the time. I listen to that end.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier today. Yeah. So that was, that performance. It's actually kind of hard to do because there's no technique for it. So there's no practicing. There's no regiment for it. There's no muscle memory for it. It's a total freak out. Every time I do something like that, I run the risk of injury. And I know it sounds ridiculous. Like, how do you hurt yourself with a guitar? I mean, it seems so easy. but it's like, it's, I don't know if you can hear it. All that kind of stuff. It sounds like noise, but imagine if you're playing a scale, you've done it years and years and years, and you're kind of protecting yourself with all that practicing. But when you go to do some freak out like that, you never really know what the stresses that you're putting on your hands, right? But that adds to the intensity of it. You do like 2 or 3 takes like that, and you realize, oh my God, I'm going to hurt myself. But that physical intensity winds up translating into the performance, you know. But that's what it is. It's not playing music. It's using, you just pop this up on your JS1CR and you get the sustainiac going, and then there it is, endless sustain. As Nigel Tufnell once said, you can go out and get a bite to eat and it's still ringing when you come back. Anyway, that was the idea that I put out there after playing, I think it was 187 guitar solos, sitting right next to Joe, because he very patiently watched me go through that.
I took notes on every one.
Oh my God! But
that's going to be for a follow-up live stream. You can just recount all of those notes.
No, Jim is the greatest note taker. I mean, he is. You come in there and that guy knows every section of every take that was brilliant or could do better. It's amazing. He does, Jim. He just every take he goes, yep, nope, yep, nope, and then he goes, I think we got it, which means every section he's been taking notes on. He knows we got it. That's amazing how you do that.
Joe, here's a question from Mike H. I think it's talking about the reference you made earlier to the bonus track. Can you talk about what that title was and how people can get it?
We were talking about When Trees Walk the Earth. Is that the?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay. So for people who pre-ordered Shapeshifting, it was a bonus track that you can download. And right now, I think that is the only way that you can get it. I might be corrected by the good people at Sony Legacy. If they want to text us to let us know there's some other way to get it. Eventually, everything comes out, but I mean that's how we dealt with that particular thing. I would have put it on the album, but we couldn't find a place for it in the sequence. It just seemed, it's such an intense song that it just didn't want anything to follow it. I guess that's what it is.
It is intense.
When you finish listening to that song, you're like, I got to take a break. You know?
Yeah.
So it was a perfect bonus track, and it's the one song where I completely freak out on the guitar. There's no verse, chorus, or anything like that. No bridge. It's just a total freak out. And these guys kind of join in with me. So, but yeah, that's you get a glimpse into the noise in my head if you hear that song.
Sonny Carter Guitar says, big fan from the UK. What was the hardest part of the album to play? And I think that can apply to everybody.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, well, let's start with the guy who didn't get in the video very much. Eric, what was the hardest part to play?
Geez. You know what? I probably some of the B3 parts.
Yeah. The unusual chords. You play B3 I remember Perfect Dust. That took a while to get the instrument to properly play the voicings.
Yeah, I think that was that. I know yours, Joe.
What was it?
The whistling.
The whittle. That's something even beyond like hard. That's like it just like didn't happen.
I think for me it was the anvil on Yesterday.
Chris, so I don't think anything was hard for you, Chris, but go ahead, throw one up.
Oh, I'll go right back. I thought one of the more challenging sections was still the B section in Shapeshifting. I keep going back to that. I think that's such a great section. I don't know. I'm trying to recall, like, you know, for the more technically minded musicians out there, if it was like 3/4, the bass line does like a syncopated kind of feel that crosses the bar line. And now I'm getting real
Yeah,
getting
it's
into
a
some
really
chemistry
long,
science over here.
really long statement, bass statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're coming down just to a technical place, that would probably be the most technical.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that the descending line?
yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
is that descending line? It just
Yeah.
goes on and on and on. And then I finally join you at the end. At
Exactly.
the very end, I go ba da 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 da. It's just, and it's like you're driving it right through that section.
Yeah.
Badass. Just driving it, and it's like this. Yeah.
Chris, I thought you were going to say the bass part on "Hear the Blue River."
Ah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Or me trying to attempt some baritone guitar. No.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Chris, I'm thinking, you doubled. Yeah,
Oh.
you doubled. You played my 335.
Was that on Falling Stars?
Yeah, Falling Stars.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
fun.
That too. I'm a hack on guitar.
You
True
played
bass
beautiful.
player.
No, it's beautiful. It worked. It was so nice to hear that. I was thinking, really, what was the hardest thing for me comes off sounding so easy, which is the melody in All for Love. That, I mean, it illustrates how easy it is to play stuff when you're all by yourself, and imagine how great it's going to sound once it's recorded. And then you get to the studio and the harsh reality of what your guitar really sounds like next to world-class musicians and a great sounding studio. And you realize, wow, I got some work to be done, and I have work to do, and I've only got a couple of minutes because now's the time.
Yeah.
I'd look there and you guys are laying down perfect performances, and the guitar is making so much noise, and the intonation is very difficult, playing all those high notes and trying to get through, even though it's a short song, getting all that together in one live performance. It was just so hard. And what was that, the 9th or the 10th take that we finally took? But that, I just remember thinking, man, that was so hard. Not like fast, complicated, hard stuff or odd time signatures. It was like, that was truly difficult. That took every essence of musicianship that I had to be able to pull that off. So.
It's a very, very high part, and you need to be crazy precise.
Yeah, yeah. And the strings did not want to recover. That was the other thing. Is that you bend them like that, and they take 15 seconds to get back to pitch. So you had to prepare how you would intonate the following notes after a dramatic high note, and you had to plan ahead. Like, well, if I use the bar here or I bend here, I won't be able to do this or that. I don't know. Guitar player neurosis stuff. But the end result was like, finally, especially when you consider I started writing that song in the late 90s, that was a long journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, although the joke was that the whistling was perhaps the toughest, Jamie says, can we hear you all whistle right now so we can judge? Maybe we can wrap the whole live stream up with a whistling outro. So maybe hold on to that for a moment.
Can I do this? About as good as it's gonna get.
That's a good whistle. Well, I think that we've gone quite a long time, so I'm just going to do two more. One is more of a comment that I thought summed things up nice, which is from Fighter Fab, who said, "The amazing blend and composition of this album made me feel like I just made the perfect cup of coffee, and of course, tasty as hell."
Ah.
So I thought that was
Yes, I love that. Thank you for that wonderful comment. Thank you.
And then I think the other question that sort of is where people are thinking, obviously, there's not a big tour going on right now.
Yeah.
So we don't have any specifics we talk about there, but there's just a general question about how do you think this album and the material will translate into a live setting? That's from Aaron Mowell. And so maybe that's an interesting thing to think about. And I know Kenny will be with you on that journey, but the other guys who may not be, maybe have some interesting thoughts about that transition from studio to live.
Yeah. Well, I know Kenny and I have spent time, rehearsing the set. We worked on the set as a group, and we imagined us playing together. We came so close to actually getting together. And one thing that I'll just throw out an insight is that I really loved how the new material and the old material worked together and was such a compliment. And I also noticed things from the older material, like if you take a song that is a standard for our live shows, like Surfing or Ice Nine, something from decades ago, and how that has transformed itself into a live performance that's very different from the album. That I realized that these new songs are going to go through that same process. And actually, you know who does it? It's the fans that actually should get credit for transforming these album tracks. Like you take a song like Cool Number 9 from my 95 eponymous release. That is such a R&B live in the studio recording, but what it became, I have to say, besides being, having Jeff Campitelli and Stuart Hamm out on that first G3 tour, it was really the fans responding to our improvisations every night that actually created the live version of that. So I was so looking forward to that, going out with this new record and waiting to see how the fans were going to help us transform them into live events. Anyway, that's just my crazy perspective on it. I got Kenny. I bet you have something to say about that.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting together to see how these songs turn into what you're talking about. I was like, because adding a Ray to it, who's going to cover all the other parts you're not playing somehow. And I am looking forward to seeing this next process. So in some ways, this time that we have is taking a lot of, it's getting to the point where I'll have everything memorized, because I don't memorize real good. I write everything out on paper. And this gives me a chance to get that work out of the way. And I'm excited to see. I was wondering, God, I wonder how Joe, how he's going to want us to play this live. And I knew that all kinds of ideas will just be happening, I'm imagining, in the rehearsal. And like you said, live. But here's an opportunity to really get the foundation of this whole body of work, so I don't have to even think about that. So I'm actually on tour right now. Some mornings I'm touring my performances in the kitchen. Then sometimes my show is in the bedroom. Tomorrow night it's going to be in the office. I'm doing a kind of a tour.
How much are tickets, by the way?
Well, because it's a COVID-19, it's free. Everything's free.
Everything's free.
Everything's free.
I need 7 of the bedroom performance.
Yeah.
Curious what goes down there.
The only thing I have to say is I'm the only musician on stage.
Still worth the price of the ticket.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, free is free.
Free is free.
Anyway, I'm excited to see how this whole thing develops, and it's going to be really exciting. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, they've just given us a lot of time to work out the details.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you say we wrap this thing up? And maybe anybody has any comments. Obviously, it's an album project that you've all been sitting with for a very long period of time and is now out in the world. And if you have any things that you'd like to share with the fans about it, or any reaction you've heard as your friends and peers and other folks have been telling you as they've been listening to it the last few days, if there's any response that you've been able to detect in this strange lockdown period. And then we can sign off.
Well, I'd just like to say that Joe, I think that the intro guitar sound, that intro theme on All My Friends, is the most amazing guitar sound I think I've ever heard. it's just one guitar, but it sounds like an orchestra with horns and percussion and a choir. And I don't know how you got that sound, but it stuns me every time I hear it. Like that is awesome.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Huge. It's big.
I'll play it right now. I don't know if I have the same sound, but doesn't have that Jim Scott touch.
That's it though. That's it. It's a thing.
It's massive. It's huge.
It makes a good ringtone.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo. Eric.
Yes.
Say thank you and goodbye to our wonderful fans.
Goodbye, wonderful fans. Goodbye, Joe, Jim, Chris, John, Kenny. Goodbye.
Can I do the same thing as you, Eric? No.
Absolutely.
It's like a relaxedness and an eloquence to how you present that I'm envious of. I will say that. I haven't had my first cup of coffee, by the way. I see all of you here multiple mugs.
I'm on 4.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say I'm looking forward to seeing all the fans. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. I'm so excited to be part of this whole thing. So we'll see you. It's just a matter of, when,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I really am.
Excited.
I'm committed.
And thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Joe.
Next 15 minutes, you won't see me because I'm going down here. I've got to do my plank now. So
I'm getting back in.
Starting right now.
Inspiration
Yeah.
Going.
I'm gonna go step on my reflexology board.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
You use the board. And
Oh my God. That
makes the plank seem easy.
Yeah. No kidding. Wow. If you haven't been on it for a while and you step on it, wow.
Oh, I still use a towel. I put a towel and I double it up.
Oh, you do?
I do, yeah.
Oh, no, I just go on it. I scream, of course.
So maybe what I'll do is when I get down here to do the plank, I'm just going to stay down until the tour starts. So someone ring the doorbell. All right. By then I'll be like, oh, right. But yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Don't forget to nose breathe, everybody.
All right.
Don't forget to nose breathe.
Eric.
Bye.
Love you guys. Stay healthy. Stay good. Thank you to YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and all our fans all around. Hey there. Hi. Hey. Olivia and Sarah. Hi.
Oh.
Oh.
Bye. I'm going.
Bye.